Today we're going to talk about three calculators, and they're all made, or two of them are made by HP, HP10BII and HP12C. Now, a little bit of difference between these calculators. The 10BII is on my phone, and I really like that because I can carry the calculator on my phone and it'll do everything the HP12C will do, which I've got 3 or 4 of them, but they're on my desk. And I also use a calculator program that's called TValue OnLine. And you can get that program for about $60 a year. It's a very valuable program to have, and you can run amortization schedule and do so many things, and then you can print that out and talk with the client about it. So those are the 3 programs that I use: quality investment, education, and analysis, and help a client decide what they want to do, how they want to do it, and if they're capable of doing this investment. And we're talking about investments, but this also would apply to your primary residence, because the thing that everybody wants to know is, what is the payment? I'm a CCIM, Certified Commercial Investment member, and I'm also a member of the National Council of Exchangers, and that's a group of brokers from all over the country that meet several times a year, virtually and in person. And we meet in Las Vegas, and it's a very good meeting, and we buy, sell, trade, and help each other structure deals on property and try to serve our clients in their best interest. On my screen, investments are for cash flow, for trust deeds and notes. And why I put that up there is that we buy the note. We'll buy the promissory note. Let's say that you are a seller that has sold some property and you're financing the property for the buyer. We would be glad to look at that note and buy that note from you. Or if you didn't want to sell the whole note, we would buy a series of payments. Let's say we might buy 5 years worth of those payments. And we also help buyers and sellers with creative financing, which would be owner carry, structuring promissory notes, and figuring out the payments, figuring out the loan, and just trying to figure out how this buyer or this seller is going to come out when they either finance or buy a property, and how to make those payments. And we also use private money. We look for private investors that have money and they want to make a yield that is better than what they're currently making with their institution. And they can finance a property for a well-qualified buyer, and they'll get a better yield on their property. And they get higher yields. And so we're always looking for owner financing, sellers that would like to finance their property, and we're also looking for buyers and buyers that have the down payment capability and are able to help structure a loan that would be in their best interest, and also the seller to make a rate of return. So we get higher yields, and we also deal in rentals, and we like to buy multifamily and single family homes and commercial buildings that we can rent out, or we can create notes on, and we can increase our yield through private financing. And so that's what we do on a full-time basis. So today we're going to look at the 10B2 calculator. And the 10B2, as you can see, it's coming up on my screen. The 10B2 calculator is what I have on my phone, and that's a great app, and it's about $10. And I would suggest that you buy it, and it's you have to buy the right one. There's several calculators out there, but it's all in a day development that creates this calculator. So let's look at this calculator, and we're going to do a loan that's $300,000, start at 3.75% for 30 years, and we want to see what the payment's going to be. Now, I've got on the screen, as you can see, 5 keys, and those are the 5 keys that's on the top of the calculator. The N is the term, interest per year, present value, payment, and future value. And those are the 5 keys that you need to learn. N, of course, is the term, 30 years, 360 months. Interest rate per year, you just put that in as a whole number, like 3.75, 4, 5, 6, and the calculator will divide it by the number of payments. Like your calculator is set to 12 payments per year, at least mine is. And then present value and payment. Now, present value and payment, one of them has to be negative, or you'll get an error on the calculator. And it doesn't matter which one is negative, depending on your perspective, and if you're the lender or the borrower, you can make either one of them negative. So let's clear the calculator. Now, we've got a clean slate. Now, you don't have to clear the calculator because you can override the numbers and it'll just clear it out. But sometimes you forget what number you put in, so it's kind of confusing. So just clear the calculator. So we talked about a 30-year loan. 30 times 12 is 360. You can put in 30 like I'm doing, hit the shift key, hit payments per year because your calculator is set to payments per year of 12. And so 12 times 30 is 360. And we talked about 3.75%. And we just put that in interest per year, and the calculator takes 3.5. The calculator takes 3.75 and divides it by 12. And we'll show that on the amortization schedule. Now, we said we wanted a $300,000 loan, and we also said that one of these have to be negative, either the present value or the payment. So let's make the present value negative because the lender is going to give out $300,000 to the seller. So we've got a negative present value. And now the only thing that we have to do is hit present value, $300,000. And now the next thing we have to do is hit payment, $1,389.35. And so that's just using those 5 keys across the top. And these 5 keys are completely interchangeable if you want to change them out. Like if I wanted to change the interest rate, I can go 4I, and I can solve for the payment or the present value or the term, either one. Now, what would you like to do? Well, let's just solve for the payment. The payment goes up to $1,432.25. And now we were at 3.75, so let's just put that back, and we'll start again. And we'll ask it for the payment. We're back to $1,389.35. Let's say we want to leave everything the same. The seller says, well, I'd rather have a 20-year term because I get a little bit more payment. So so I'm going to clear that. So 240, I'm going to say N, and now I'm going to ask for the payment. Payment is $1,700, and that's why you use a longer amortization schedule, because it reduces your payment. Still owe the money, but it makes it easier for you to make the monthly payment. So let's change that back to 360 months. We can just put that in the calculator and hit payment. We're back to $1,389. Now let's say that the borrower says I can only make $1,200 a month payments. So let's put in $1,200. $1,200 payment, and now we have to either solve for the rate or the term or the principal value. So you know the seller's not going to go down on his price. So let's see what the rate would be. And the rate would have to go down to 2.59. We could say, Mr. Seller, we can't pay 3.75 and make it, but we can pay 2.59. So that's how the 10B2 calculator works. The HP12C works the same way. You've got 5 keys across the top, and those 5 keys you need to be very familiar with. Now you can see that I have the TValue OnLine on the screen. And so let's see how this works. I'm going to start out with a new loan. So I'm going to go File, New, and no, I don't want to save this. So we get rid of that. So now we've got a clean slate. And it works just like the HP10BII or the HP12C, and it uses those same 5 variables. So now I've got it set to monthly, as you can see on the screen, and my interest rate, remember, is 3.75. So I'm going to put that in. My loan starts 413, and so I'm going to say it's a $300,000 loan. And there's only one of those. So one loan, $300,000, 3.75%. And we've just put in the variables like you would on the calculator. So I hit the new payment. It defaults to 30 days later because that's what my parameters are set to. And I don't know what the payment is going to be, but I know that it's going to be 360 months. So I put that in, and then for the payment, I put unknown. And you can see that the calculator has already computed that the final payment would be in 2051. So that's 30 years out. So let's just go up here to solve for the payment, and you hit calculate. Then the payment's $1389.35. Now, let's say that the seller says, I don't want to go out 30 years on this loan. I want to be paid off in 5 years. So how would you do that? Let's put in 59 payments. We know that he wants to be paid off on the 60th month. So 59 plus 1 would be 60. It'd be 5 years you pay off. The calculator immediately defaults to 2026, 3/13/2026. You can see that. I don't know what that payoff's going to be, so I just hit unknown. I go up and hit calculate, and the borrower still owe $271,621. Now the borrower has to make a decision. How are you going to have an exit plan? Are you going to refinance the property? The seller could extend the loan. The seller could change the rate. The seller could ask for more down payment to reduce the principal balance, or you can go to an institution and have an appraisal done and perhaps get a new loan that way and pay the seller off completely. So you have lots of options. You just have to know your exit plan and be comfortable that you'll be able to solve this big problem of $271,000 in 5 years. So let's see what the amortization schedule looks like. This is why I like this program, because it does the amortization schedule. And I can see that, and you can see that it's 3.75%. There's my periodic rate and my daily rate. And we can see that we've got our schedule on the screen. So I just moved myself out of the way, and now let's click on the schedule and let's go down and look at this. And you can see that it's $300,000. $1389.35 is the payment. There's 59 of them, and we want to be paid off in the 60th month. And now you can see the schedule based on 365 days. You could change that if you wanted to. But you have the payment, you have the interest, $937.50. That's 3.75 yearly. And you reduce the principal by $451 on that first payment. And you notice the principal goes down very slowly. So as you reduce the principal, you're paying interest on less. And so that's why these figures change all the time. And let's get down to the bottom and let's look at this. And we can see our annual percentage rate and the amount financed, our grand totals. You will owe $275,789.16. So that's how the T-value schedule works. And let's go back up to see the cash flow. And we're back to the cash flow, and we can change any of those variables, or we can start a new loan, or we can do anything we would like to do. So that's just a little bit on the 3 different calculators that I use every day in my business, the HP12C and the HP10BII. I like the 10B2 because it's on my phone. And on my desktop, I use TValue OnLine, and it really helps me to understand financing and understand the creative side of the financing and how to structure loans and payments and due dates that will be suitable for the client. And that's what we're all working for, is to solve the needs and the desires of the client that we are working for. So, thanks for watching.